Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Idaho Business Podcast. We're here with Ryan Cole, Operations Manager of Cole Chevrolet in Pocatello, Idaho. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Spencer. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. But before we get going, we always like to say we're sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising. These guys are phenomenal at what they do with their digital and traditional billboards. They have spaces from Pocatello all the way through Blackfoot. And if you sign up with at least a 3-month deal with them, they will give you your installation for free or your first month for free. Just by simply mentioning that you heard about them on the podcast. Give Rob a call at 232-6886, and he can make that happen for you. All right, Ryan. Ryan, you know, he lived here in Pocatello. For you said, believe you said 99 to 2003 or 90.
Actually 95 to 2003. Yeah, so 8 years there.
Years, nice. Went to high school, I'm guessing here.
No, I went to high school in Georgia, actually.
Okay, awesome, very cool. So it sounds like it looks like you've had so much car experience from, working at General Motors in Detroit to, being district managers and Buick and GMC to district manager in training. You just had everything you've done pretty much from your education all the way up is kind of prepared you to run car dealerships and to be the expert that you are.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. I went to a small college in Michigan that the reason I chose that school is the only school in the country where I could major in automotive marketing and management.
Wow.
So it's a very unique program. It's a 4-year degree. And then after that, I spent 5 years working for General Motors corporate. Transferred around with them a little bit, working in fleet in Detroit. Moved 4 times in 5 years. So I lived in Detroit, Naperville, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, and South Bend, Indiana, all before coming back out to Pocatello.
That's amazing. Well, you got your bearings, and you definitely know what you're doing when it comes to the automotive industry. So we're happy to have you back here. So, well,
I'm glad to be back. I love this town. It's a lot of fun.
I love it. Well, perfect. What's the big thing that interests you the most about the car dealership? Was it just your family's been in it and you took interest in it then, or what's kind of brought you and drove you to dedicating your life and your career towards it?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. It started out as the family business, and I grew up around it, grew up in it, working in it. But as I was getting ready to go to college and looking at different opportunities, I decided to look at different industries, seeing if the car business is really what I wanted to do, or if it was something that was just there because I grew up in it. The fun part for me is, even though I tried all these different industries, looking at different things I could do, the car business was just always fun. It was something that I found that I could do. I enjoyed doing it, and I was pretty good at it from
Sure.
at least what I could see. So it was one of those things that it's ever evolving, always changing. It's always a challenge, and it's just fun for me. It's a big puzzle. There's so many different departments in the dealership that operate almost as separate businesses. So to kind of tie them all together, using that as a giant puzzle to make one overall business work, it was just fun for me.
That's true. When you think about it, yeah, you guys do have so many different moving parts in those dealerships. From, I believe you guys even have an auto body shop in.
We do
too, and that's rare, and that's pretty rare, I think, in an automobile dealership.
It is, yeah. The new car dealership franchises, they've moved away from body shops a little bit. So it's actually pretty rare. We get in these groups where we compare different businesses and different dealerships, and there's actually very few new car dealerships that still have body shops or auto collision centers. That's
interesting. I actually know your guy Hap Fettis over there. So
great guy.
Funny guy. So very cool. So I'm going to ask you questions that I'm interested in. I'm sure our audience is interested
Yeah, fire away.
in as well. But with the economy as it is, and the craziness that we've all, lived through in the last, 2.5 years or more,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we've seen everything, from shortages in cars, from shortages in fuel to everything. What do you see? And also shortages in computer chips, of course.
Yeah.
That's a big one. But what do you see in the future as far as the car industry is with pricing, with availability? What's going to be the future for us?
So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how this plays out going forward. A lot of the car shortages are due to those microchip shortages, the computer shortages you just mentioned. So there are, like, I think GM has 10,000 different microchips they put into various cars.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a huge shortage of new cars because we can't get the microchips and the supplies required to build these vehicles.
Sure.
So over the last 2 years, our production has been probably cut in less than half. So on the new car side, we're currently sitting on our lot 14 new vehicles in stock. Before the pandemic and before COVID, our average was well over 100.
That's insane.
And
how many of the 14 are spoken for already?
We've got probably another 6 of those that are spoken for, just waiting for them to get through the shop, get through their pre-delivery inspection that's required by the state. It's just insane. These things are flying off the lots faster than we can get them, which kind of leads to an interesting dynamic.
Sure.
So I think that you're not going to see inventory levels really go up too much for a couple of different reasons. GM and most manufacturers have gotten rid of their fleets. So the vehicles they would build for fleet companies, rental car companies, they've gotten rid of those. They make a higher profit selling them to dealers, which can sell them to the retail customer, than they do selling them to Enterprise, Hertz, the rental car companies. So I know before COVID, they were selling about 400,000 units into rental car companies, just rental car companies alone.
Wow.
So when you look at the used car market, I see this shortage kind of staying here for the next probably 3 to 5 years.
Really?
So I think prices are still going to stay high. I'm not sure how high they're going to be, but I think they're still going to be pretty high. And the reason being, they're not building those cars. So those used cars that would be entering the market in 3 to 5 years aren't going to be there.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. So the hard part right now, and this is a now issue, and it's going to continue going on for the next few years, is because they aren't building cars for Hertz, Enterprise, the other rental car companies. Dealerships are competing with those companies for used cars at auctions.
Sure. And typically those rental car companies have never been in the used market at all, right? It's always new.
Yeah, usually those auctions are usually focused on rental car companies selling their cars back into the market, and now they're buying them out of the market instead. So used car prices are going to continue to stay high, I'm guessing. And then until we get this microchip shortage issue solved, I don't see the used car market really improving too much. So I think we're going to be here probably for another 18 to 24 months on the new car side.
That's super interesting. I've got a friend that lives in Wasilla, Alaska, and you've heard of Turo?
I have.
It's kind of like the Uber to the taxis to the Uber to the rental car companies, where you can take your own vehicle and put it up for rent. And he is, because in Alaska, number one, it's super hard to get cars to Alaska.
Oh, absolutely.
During COVID, all the rental car companies just, liquidated to, conserve cash and to keep afloat. Anyways, I think he's bought 3 or 4 vehicles that are strictly just for Turo.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how that's taking hold now because the shortage of rental cars.
Yeah, and there's a couple different aspects there that's kind of interesting. So as cars are getting more difficult to find, interest rates are going up, people are keeping their cars longer, a lot longer than they used to. We're still having issues getting parts to service cars.
Wow.
So I think the national average I read somewhere was the national average for a new car dealership, they were taking appointments for 2 weeks out just to get your car in to get worked on.
Wow.
So that's another kind of fun aspect to kind of navigate and try to manage, that you have these customers, your existing customer base that we've been servicing Pocatello for 27 years. It's trying to recondition them, at least for this point in time, that if you need your car worked on, you need to plan in advance.
That's incredible. The stuff that we've never even thought we'd have to deal with, we're dealing with now. It's interesting. Another question for you to roll into this. Oh, I did hear something about Congress passing something about a U.S. bill for computer chips being made in the U.S. Is that something that's happening, or?
They've definitely been looking at different aspects of that. I know that there's different companies that are looking at building more microchip facilities, and I think Congress is looking at it too. The problem is they're just so expensive to get up and running.
Interesting.
And if we do get that in place, it's a great thing. I'll let you in on a little thing I heard in Detroit. I was in a meeting in Detroit, and the head of their kind of product planning and supply chain management group told us that once this microchip shortage gets solved, once we stop having these shortages on microchips, it'll take another 18 months before the channels fill back up. It takes that long for them to get everything filled back up to where it's running smoothly again. So even if they do get it built right now, it's still a little bit of a wait and a little bit of lag time.
Which is like the baby formula crisis. And once they get that up and running, it's still going to take 6 to whatever 10 months to get going. To replenish the shelves. That's super interesting. Well, that's 18 to 24 months out. So that is definitely interesting. And when someone wants a new car, they're typically having to order it unless you have exactly something that's not spoken for on the lot.
Yeah, we're ordering a lot of cars, and it's a very interesting and different market than we were 2 years ago. We're ordering cars for people that don't get a chance to test drive them before they order them. Wow. Obviously, they test drive them before they sign them and buy them and make the final purchase when they get here. But you're kind of ordering it just hoping you like it. And the other hard part of that is there's constraints. So we have these constraints put on us by GM that every week they change. Like, I can get this package this week, but I can't get it the next 2 weeks. So it's trying to work with the customer and GM to make sure we can get the vehicle that they want to buy.
That is interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of hoops that you guys have to jump through, and also the customers at this point. But I know you're doing your best with what you have right now. That's what's crazy. So
yeah, we are. I think it's been an interesting time.
Yeah, with most businesses too. You're just trying to survive and trying to find avenues that you can really excel in too. So that's interesting. So you've been operations manager now. What's some of the learning experiences you've been able to learn from over the last year and a half to 2 years that you've been doing this?
So it's really interesting. I've learned a lot from Art, who's our general manager here, and the goal for me going to GM was for me to go learn from all these other dealerships. Mm-hmm. So I was a district manager, which is basically the liaison between GM and the dealerships that I had. So during my 5 years at GM, I think I called on 150 dealerships. I was just working with them. And my goal there was to go work at GM, figure out what dealerships do well, what they do poorly, and bring the best of everything back with me. So it kind of helped with that learning curve a little bit. And then having Art here, where he's obviously done a great job in this community. The biggest lesson that I've learned is it's all about people. Yeah. I mean, it really is. I sell a great product. So does Nissan, Kia down the street. So does Toyota, Ford. Everyone sells a very solid product. They go through all these federal regulations. They are great vehicles. The difference is, who do you want to do business with? Yeah. Getting good people in the store. At the end of the day, it's a people business. We have to treat our people well. They work for us and sell cars and maintain cars. And that kind of trickles down to where they treat our end customer, the people that are out on the streets. So in the end, that's the biggest lesson. I mean, yeah, you can look at all the numbers and data that you want, but at the end of the day, it's a people business.
It is. No, I can agree more. That's, if you want return business, you treat them right, and you bend over backwards for them. So that's interesting. So I love it. What would be the best advice you'd give our audience based upon your experience?
The biggest difference that I've seen between dealerships and me personally, I've gone through this too, is don't micromanage.
Yeah.
Hire good people and let them do their job.
Yeah.
Well, I learned that when I first got here. I tried to do everything because I thought I was supposed to.
Uh-huh.
And you learn that you don't have time to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
The goal and the objective is to get good people in place that you can trust to do their job and help grow your business, take care of your customers, take care of your people. And that's the biggest thing, is just, yet again, I don't mean to harp on it, but it's all about people. Get good people and let them take care of it.
I love it. And empower them to make those decisions, so they're not having to think, hey Ryan, how do I make this decision?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I love it. And that makes a huge difference for sure. And when you have those processes in place that people just know, hey, this is how I handle it. We've been through this over and over again. There's a process for it now. This is what we do. So that's amazing when that happens.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun to watch them grow into the roles too.
I concur with that. Well, let's get into the lightning round. But before we do that, we're sponsored by my company, New Clean Commercial Cleaning. We are your toilet scrubbing professionals. And if anyone needs help with toilet scrubbing, janitorial, to carpet cleaning, to stripping and waxing, all the fun stuff from Burley all the way to Rexburg, we are out there loving life and growing and serving our customers the best of our ability. If you call and tell us that you heard about us on the podcast, you have your restrooms, your tile and grout cleaning absolutely for free just by saying you heard about us on the podcast. No strings attached. You can call us at 208-254-7070. All right, Ryan, is there a favorite book or a tool or a piece of software you're using or recently used that's kind of been a game changer for you?
So my favorite book right now is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I think it's a great book. It's just really sets the tone of why you're doing what you're doing. If you have your why and you can understand why you're doing the business that you're in, why you're trying to do it, you can communicate that to your people. It just resonates throughout the entire business and community.
I love it. And it also helps with, your, even from your salesman all the way up to your service staff to your accountants. Why are you coming to work every day? Why do you do the things you do? I love that. We talk a lot about that in our company and with my consultant as well, is because once you find that, it really empowers you to enjoy getting up and saying, I know why I'm doing all this. I know.
I mean, every company is supposed to make a profit, but that's not your end why. You have to figure out why you're actually wanting to do this business and serve a community.
Yeah, I agree. Love that. And that's actually on my list, by the way, that book. So that's a good reminder for me to move that up in the queue. So right now I'm reading The Power of One More by Ed Mylett, and it's fantastic. So
that's on my list.
Good one. All right. What's one of the biggest myths business owners need to know the truth about?
Yet again, I hate to keep harping on this, that they can do it all themselves.
Yep.
I mean, yet again, it's all about people. There's not enough hours in the day for you to control and micromanage every aspect of your business. If you get good people, you can focus on the bigger issues and make those key choices. You have limited time, limited brain power. You might as well focus on the big decisions, the big problems, and hire good people to let them manage everything else.
Exactly. And to speak on that, I find it, because I've seen, I've interviewed so many business owners and I have friends with so many business owners, and I've just viewed so many of these situations, and I've seen that people that literally try to do everything from the accounting all the way up to the bookkeeping, to the micromanaging things, to sales, to operations, they can't grow. They can't get to the end goal that they want because they're so busy and weighed down with all the small stuff. There's a quote, I think it was Rockefeller back in the day. I think it was, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I've done something horribly wrong. Yeah, I love that.
You get good people around you to help grow, be subject matter experts in their area, and drive the business forward.
I love it, dude. Brilliant. It's brilliant. So with all you guys listening, all the audience listening, thinking, I'm that one that they're talking about that's trying to do everything. And I'm running into situations that literally happen every week that I have to figure out okay, if it's something you're running into every week, you should have a process for it that someone else can take care of for you. And you run forward and you say, hey, this is your baby now. I'm focusing on the X, Y, and Z to grow. So, okay. What was one question I should have asked that I didn't?
Oh, so this is the question that I get asked all the time because I'm in the car business. What's happening with electric vehicles?
Oh, yes. Please.
So I get this is not the entire business perspective of all businesses, but this is the question that I get asked about the most.
Yep.
With gas prices going through the roof right now, and seems like the political sphere is pushing EVs. I think it's coming. So EVs are coming. We as Cole Chevrolet, we jumped on board last year and took 12 electric vehicles from GM. I think we were the only one in Eastern Idaho that took more than one.
Wow.
They had a battery issue where they had to recall them all. We sat on these cars for 10 months until we get new batteries to replace. They're all sold.
Wow.
They all had deposits on them sold before the batteries ever got here. Months before the batteries ever got here.
Holy smokes.
With gas prices rising so high, I think a lot of these car companies, especially GM, is pushing EVs, and they're coming. I think that there will be the internal combustion engine, the gas, diesel as well, but there will be EVs coming,
Sure.
even to Southeast Idaho, East Idaho. I know no one wants to think about it. No one wants to believe it. And I had my salespeople fight me on it when I first started getting on board. And then we had all 12 of them just disappear like that, just magically. Somehow, no one wanted them, but they all disappeared. The technology is increasing. It's getting a lot better. GM, the government, they're talking about putting in charging stations every 50 miles along highways, trying to make sure people are willing to do that, getting rid of the infrastructure issue. I'm not saying you need to go out and buy an EV, but if it makes sense for your life, at least look at it.
Sure.
It's something that it's kind of inevitable. I've been telling my guys for the last year and a half that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be 100% of our vehicles that we're going to sell them, but you have to get at least comfortable with them.
Sure.
So I think in larger metro markets, it could be a lot larger, but at least in East Idaho, I still think gas and diesel will have a huge impact here. And I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon. But EV is going to be around for a while. The electric vehicle is going to be here for a long time. And I think we have to get used to it. So I know we just released, we unveiled our new electric Blazer last night. So it's on Chevy.com. It looks great. They're going to get 320 miles to a single charge. The Silverado EV is going to get 400 miles to a charge. They're cool looking vehicles. They're going to be unique. They're going to be fun. They're going to have a low center of gravity of fast 0 to 60. And I just wouldn't write them off just yet. At least look at them, give them a chance.
That's interesting. Yeah, my buddy just got a Tesla. He took me on a ride in it. Kept flooring it. I'm like, dude, if you keep doing it, I'm gonna throw open your car. Like I'm just right now. You make me feel like I'm in a roller coaster, and like that's not good. So, no, it's interesting. I've heard mixed reviews, and we'll talk about this, and then we can close out. But
yeah,
I've heard, on these charging stations, the universal charging stations, I've heard that it's rather expensive to charge, and it is very comparable to even the fuel prices even now. Is that true?
I think some places it is. I think it all depends on the location and the charging costs for them. The interesting part for us is when you get into the DC fast chargers, they're saying the Silverado EV, you're going to be able to charge, I think, 80 miles in 10 minutes or 100 miles or something like that. So I may be shorting it. It's just off the top of my mind right now, but they're getting the charging capabilities a lot faster. So it may be expensive, but so is filling up your Silverado for $140 of gas.
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
Yeah, you're at some point you're just kind of exchanging costs for gas and electric. Neither one's going to be free, but
I get it, man. I totally get that. So, well, that's interesting, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. You've spoken some truth and some brilliant advice to our audience, and I appreciate it. So,
yeah, of course. I'm glad to be on the show. It's a great show. I listened to a little bit, and
I appreciate it.
Fun to be on here.
Awesome. Well, until next time, everyone, go out there, spend some money at those car dealerships.
Yes.
Either if it's getting them serviced or, bringing them to the body shop with Cole Chevrolet, whatever you need, or just getting a brand new car, keep this economy moving. But like we always say, stay away from those negative Nancy's. There's so many people that just want to bring you down in this world, especially how negative and how bad they say the world's getting. There's so much good still in the world. So stay positive. Look for avenues to make money in your company and to find that why that Ryan was talking about. And again, Ryan, thank you for coming, and I appreciate it.
Of course. Glad to be here.
Okay, we'll see everyone next time.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.